Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Go check out my website at skysworld.com for life coaching and mentoring. Let's talk about cancel culture. Let's talk about being woke. You may be engaging in arguments online. That's where a lot of people argue about these issues, these social justice issues. And it's easy to end the conversation, say when you've had too much or when you don't care anymore or when you're done. You're fed up. You can just block the person, delete your comments. You can find ways to easily just be done with it, walk away. And you have a lot of anonymity. But you may be getting into these conversations with people in your life. And it's one thing if you're, I don't know, at a bar or at the gym or wherever you are and someone wants to talk about this stuff. I mean, you can walk away. You can pretend like you don't hear them and put your earbuds in. You can be real scary like I usually am, and people don't talk to you at all. They're just like, oh, please don't hurt me. That kind of works for me. But what if it's family or friends? And we're all bound to get into this debate at least sometime. It's hard to avoid. If you haven't had the argument yet, you will. Oh, you will. And what do? Well, look, what's your motivation? If your motivation is to convince somebody of your opinion, meaning that they're going to buy into it, what does it mean to convince somebody? That they understand that you have an opinion, that they understand the validity of your opinion, even if they don't believe it? Or is it to convince them? If you're just making a scientific case, you don't have to believe it, but this is the other side of the story, okay. You can waste a lot of breath doing that. You could easily just send them a couple videos and not have to waste your breath, but whatever. I don't suggest trying to convince people because that doesn't really work. Usually people, at least with these social justice issues, these woke issues, people's heels are pretty dug in on either side, and I don't really feel like that there's much of a debate. You're not going to convince the other person and no one's going to win. How do you win? Everybody's citing their own statistics, their own cherry-picked statistics, and they have their own intellectuals and their own versions of history, and it's all fairly correct, and some of it is bullshit, and you could say this about both sides. So who wins? No, I suggest not entertaining the debate at all, or not for long. If you want to let somebody know what side of the tracks you're on, there's nothing wrong with that. You're allowed to have beliefs, and you're allowed to stand up for yourself, and you're allowed to express your feelings and beliefs on topics. You don't have to run from who you are just to make somebody else happy. How they digest the truth is not your job to monitor or to help them with. You don't have to spoon feed them like a baby and rub their throat so they can take it down. If they can't swallow it, they can't swallow it. That's for them and their therapist to figure out. However, this could really ruin a Thanksgiving dinner, which we're coming up upon. Oh, a lot of you are going to be arguing about stuff at Thanksgiving. Just take your pick. Ukraine, Israel, cancel culture, social justice, racism, gender equality, transgenders, pedophiles, the Epstein list. What you guys are going to be arguing about, all kinds of stuff, I guarantee it. And it's useless, I promise you. You're not going to convince anybody. So if you're not going to convince anybody, if we could settle on that and you can agree, okay, I probably won't, then you have to realize it's a pointless conversation. It really is. And it's not that necessary to continually fly your flag. I mean, unless you're trying to be an activist of some kind, and you're just trying to beat people down with it, maybe eventually they'll come around. This is what church people do. They preach the Bible and they never shut up about it, and they figure, well, eventually, one of these years, if I just preach this Jesus stuff enough, they're going to come around and show up to church with me. And if you're particularly not religious, it gets annoying being around those people. So you could be one of those types, but an easy way out of the discussion, and I used this earlier today, I'm not perfect. I found myself going down that rabbit hole, going down the road and talking about this stuff with somebody who was on the opposite side of the world from me, not just literally, kind of literally, but definitely mentally, philosophically. We are on the other side of the voting booth of the tracks. We vote for different candidates. We believe different things. We have different outlooks on the world. And some of these woke issues came up, some of the big ones. And it could have gotten contentious if we both felt like it, but I shut it down with a smile. And here's what you can do. You can shut down these conversations easily and move on very pleasantly without having to have it turn into an argument. Just have a palate cleanser and kind of have a different course. You ever been to a fancy restaurant and they have several different courses and they'll bring you a palate cleanser, which will be a little tiny bowl with a little tiny spoon of like sorbet, which is just basically a mushy popsicle smashed up in a bowl or something. What the fuck is sorbet anyways? It's not ice cream. Fancy ice cream, but it's not ice cream. Anyways, it just clears your tongue out from whatever you had before so you can have the next meal. So here's how you can do that with this conversation and just kind of get rid of the argument, shut the argument down. Rather than saying, fuck you, you can say, let's agree to disagree. We're going to have to agree to disagree on this one. You believe what you believe, and I believe what I believe, and we're going to have to agree to disagree. When I said that, the person I talked to, who was a family member, they smiled, and we moved on to the next topic very seamlessly. And that conversation could have gone a lot worse, for sure, because we're both dug in with our beliefs. So we had to agree to disagree. And that's the phrase that you use, and that'll shut it down, and you can just move on. Because honestly, I'm Gen X. I had someone call me a baby boomer the other day. It makes me laugh. I'm not a baby boomer. I'm Gen X. One of the things that define Gen X is that we were the whatever generation. We were apathetic. We didn't really care that much about shit. So take a lesson from an apathetic Gen Xer, an old school punker. Who the hell cares what other people think, man? Who the fuck cares? You want to be some nut, some kind of brainwashed cult member? Go be it. What the fuck do I care? Leave me alone. We can agree to disagree. Food for thought.